So we have a really good question that came in. I'm going to give some of my thoughts on this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts as well, Julie. Is there anything we need to do more or less of for video conversations compared to in-person conversations? I think that a lot of the principles of influence and persuasion and connection with the audience are universal. We talk about those major themes that resonate with the audience, researching the audience, thinking about how to connect their top priorities with your message, or what are the key points of information that you're trying to get across. I would say the interaction aspect is more challenging over video. So that's why it's good to kind of solicit that input and that interactivity. So, thank you for the question, and other questions, by all means, put those in the chat as well. But I think the interaction is something to maybe put a little bit more emphasis on, because the default when you're watching a webinar or you're watching a remote presentation, even internally within your company, is to not interact very much, right? What are your thoughts on that, Julie?
Yeah, I agree. This is an excellent question. The engagement process is definitely a challenge. It's not like you can walk up to somebody in the audience and ask them a question. It is much harder to get that engagement. I would say one thing that translates not so well over video is necessarily your energy. I feel like you really got to bring the energy and amp it up even more than you would in person, because otherwise, if people are sitting at their desks at home, probably right now during the pandemic, they're probably distracted. They're probably multitasking. So you've got to keep them engaged. You've got to keep them energized. I think that would be my biggest tip. Beyond that is just, gosh, be careful about what's around you, what's behind you. Make sure it's not distracting. Make sure it looks good. It's not too cluttered. A lot of people forget that, and of course the good lighting and the good sound system and all that jazz, or microphone, whatever you're using.
Absolutely. Yeah, the aesthetics, the quality of the video, the quality of the lighting and everything. And it's never going to be perfect. I think it's easy to be perfectionist about a lot of these things. I mean, you can spend, $10,000 on the most advanced lighting equipment and sound equipment, but as long as it's pretty good, and as long as it is something that enables you to get and keep their attention, that's the most important thing. And especially these days, people understand that it's not a perfect system. People are working from home. It's a lot of disruption that's happened to the workplace. But another thing I was going to say is to try to utilize all of the tools at your disposal. The chat feature, email beforehand, if you can send people documents, or if you can do screen sharing, for example. In Zoom, there's a whiteboard feature where you can actually brainstorm with people live and get people to participate and provide their input, and then put it on the whiteboard. So all of these different features and tools, and there's other tools available as well in other platforms, not just Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams, etc. Really try to utilize the full range, I think, because all of that goes to your point, Julie, of creating that experience that's more impactful above and beyond just the core message or information itself.
I think as a presenter, it's even more difficult, especially in this webinar format, when you can't see the audience. You can't see faces or facial expressions or what have you. And so you don't even get to hear, like, when the audience laughs at your jokes. It's like, okay, did they like that? Did they not?
Right.
Right. And do I pause?
That made you laugh. Put it in the chat. Put a smiley face in the chat, please. We'd love to know.
We need more like reactions here, as opposed to what is it, the thumbs up and the clap.
Right.
Yeah, all of those things. And again, to get somebody to actually do that on the other side, it is more challenging, because that takes more effort than just haha laughing, But that's up to us as presenters. I feel like that is a task put on us, and it's not a bad exercise for us to learn, how to get people more engaged. And who knows what's going to be when we get out of this pandemic, or how quickly we get out of it, and how soon we'll be fully back in person. I do feel like online presentations are kind of here to stay. So in one way or another. And I think it's great too, because now, not only can you reach a local audience, but you can go, national or international, global, right? at this point, just because of technology. I feel like more and more people are getting used to doing webinars online, and I feel like it's just becoming a common thing. Whereas before it was kind of like, ooh, that's kind of out there, you know, technology wise.
Yeah.
I feel like now it's an everyday thing.
Exactly. So it's critical to get comfortable with those tools. You know, I like to use the analogy of like dressing up in a professional outfit and going to an office. You know, like there's just a certain image or a certain type of look that is kind of the standard in a office setting. You know, and so today it's your video. The quality of your video or the quality of your aesthetics, your background, your ability to manage a chat and a whiteboard and a screen share on Zoom, that becomes par for the course.